looks like it.
I think that
So that
a lot of, not worried about it, I'm worried about safety.
me too.
But, I
I have two of those. I have two different
well, I guess we kind of have to.
I know, I just like, no, my husband said to me, he says to me, last October, he was like, he seems like a great guy, but can you play? And I thought about it, and I said, Trump is the best. And then right as when the primary, he's so much more than this, he would be okay if he loses.
Something to
And I was like, I'll do it.
very little on this side.
Anybody hurts him, I will not consider disconnecting him. So.
But there's a big, symbol.
Yeah.
And it may mean that he has turned, corner. And,
Yes. She's a woman.
I know.
Mike, how you doing?
How are you, sir?
I'm tired.
How are you? Take it out.
Right? So we okay?
Yeah, yeah.
Anything I need to know, or?
Uh,
Turn this off.
Okay, you're in James Taylor.
I did that here before.
Did I?
Yeah.
Black what?
Couldn't remember it. I couldn't find it in my library.
Did you know that?
But anyway. So, okay, so we got this,
I
and
just remember back in the day.
And,
this, and we need
but a little leather.
How you feeling?
Oh, okay.
Tired.
And this is UN International Peace. Oh, yeah. Imagine for the interlude.
Sometimes I have to go in.
Oh, thanks.
Okay.
It was the traffic this week in the city.
Oh, yeah.
It's always horrific.
Well, luckily I'm downtown and see, well, let's see, my wife go over the bridge, go over the Williamsburg Bridge, and
You're downtown Manhattan?
yeah,
Oh, okay.
yeah, but so 3 days a week I take the ferry to Jersey City, so I don't need to drive and worry about it. 2 days a week I drive, but like I say, I'll come in the Holland Tunnel.
Yeah.
I'll go off 3rd Street, so
I've come in during your week. I mean, I've been on one block. Never forget this was like 52nd Street.
oh man, that's prime
It was
territory.
like 52nd between like
3rd and
Madison,
4th.
something like
Yeah,
that.
that's
And I mean,
tough, yeah.
I was in the cab, and we just
3rd
sat. We
and
just
4th,
sat.
yep, and the meter kept clicking and clicking
I didn't.
and clicking.
I was like, I was gonna get out. I was just let me get out. There's no point. But
Yeah.
that's all right. You know, frankly, I hope they move you and I here because we don't deserve it.
Huh.
You know, we don't deserve it.
Who does this? Who does it?
Anyway, take it to. It was noise that would go to night.
looking at it, and I'm looking at the differences in language and things like that. I said, no, it's 50 years in the future. And now I look at it and say,
And it's 5 years.
today,
Yeah.
it is today.
I know.
We got a wrestler as president, basically.
Yeah, pretty
You
much.
know?
Pretty much. All right, we get up there.
Okay. Oh yeah, I was supposed to be singing. Online people are going to be impatient because thank you for waiting.
There are rifles buried in the countryside for the rising of the moon. May they lie there long forgotten till they rust away into the ground. Who will bend this ancient hatred? Will the killing to an end? Who will swallow long injustice? Take the devil for a countryman. Who will say this far, no further? Oh Lord, should I die today? Send no weapons, no more money. Send no vengeance across the sea. Just the blessing of forgiveness for my new countrymen and me. Missing brothers, martyred fellows, silent children in the ground. Could we hear them? Would they not tell us? Time to lay God's rifle down. And who will say this far no further? Oh Lord, should I die today?
Good morning. Welcome to UUCCN, the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Central Nassau. It is good to see you all today. My name is Sunny Brown, and I am on the Board of Trustees. Today's service will be led by David McLean, Reverend Dr. David McLean. Thank you for being here with us. If you're new here, please know this is a welcoming congregation, a special community that supports one another in our spiritual journey. We are people worshiping together from many paths who are brave, curious, and compassionate thinkers and doers. We are here to help one another through the difficult work of seeking meaning, acting for justice, living with integrity, and walking with one another in peace and love. We hope that this hour set apart from daily concerns will renew our spirits, strengthen our love for one another, and embolden us to bring reconciliation where we find division. It is good to be together. Looking for the land acknowledgement. Here it is, found it. So we always do a land acknowledgement at the beginning of our service. We are here on the ancestral lands of the Merrick. We were put upon Turtle Island to be caretakers, to gather in a good way, to be with earth's children in all of their forms, those of the land, the water, and air. Let this land acknowledgement be the beginning of our return to unity. Let us be guardians of the waters, air, and earth, the four-legged, the flyers, the swimmers, the crawlers, the mammal people, and the grain. Let us be the guardians of harmony and kindness. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm doing the child's play too. There you go. Right.
When you do it, I'll be
Okay.
4:47.
At 2.
Deep calls unto deep, joy calls unto joy, light calls unto light. Let the kindling of this flame rekindle in us the inner light of love, of peace, of hope. And as one flame lights another, nor grows the less, we pledge ourselves to be bearers of the light wherever we are.
We're going to sing number 1. All right? I'll play through it once in case you haven't heard it. May nothing evil cross this door, and may fortune never pry. The power of these windows may roll and rain go by. My faith makes strong the rafters will withstand the battering of the storm. This heart through all the world nature will keep us warm. Peace shall walk softly through these rooms, touching our lips with holy wine, till every casual corner blooms into a shrine. Laughter drown the raucous shout, and though the sheltering walls are thin, may they be strong to keep and keep
Good morning. My name is Elizabeth Gonzalez, and I'm the chair of the Worship Arts Committee here at UUCCN. Please read with me our responsive reading, our shared Unitarian Universalist values, which is found on the inside of your order of service. Love is at the heart of our values.
We promise to live our values every day with love as the center of all things.
Equity is the value of our inclusive community.
We believe in the inherent worthiness of all.
Interdependence teaches us we are all connected.
We will only be made whole when we live as co-inhabitants of the world.
Justice is essential for peace and building a beloved community.
We will work to dismantle racism and other oppressions in ourselves and in our institutions.
Generosity expresses compassion, gratitude, and hope.
We will offer our faith, ourselves, and our resources,
Pluralism encourages respect for diverse beliefs.
and allows us to be curious as we learn from one another.
Transformation allows us to adapt to an ever-changing world.
We are evolving and growing. We are never perfect.
And for a peace candle lighting, words by Mahmoud Khalil from a letter he wrote to his son while he was in prison. Many years ago, on one of our very first dates, I asked your mother what she would change in the world if she could. Her simple response was, "I just want people to be nicer to each other." Dean, you were born to a mother as gentle as she is fierce. I pray that you live in a world shaped by that kindness. I hope with all my heart that you will not witness the oppression that I have known. I hope that you never need to chant for Palestine because it has long been free with the dignity and prosperity for all. Should that day come, know that it was ushered in through the courage of those who came before you. I am certain that in this new world, you and I will visit Tiberias together, drink from the river, and marvel at the sea. There in a free and just Palestine, you will see the fruits of our struggle.
The reading that I have selected is number 50, but it's E. Cummings. I thank you. You see that, Liz? I don't see it. Maybe I have the number one. But I do have a secondary reading. So I'll just go to that then. This is from the poem by Billy Collins. You know who Billy Collins is, the American poet? It's one of my favorite poems, The Velocity. It's a poem that talks about the common condition of people, and Billy Collins has a way of writing poetry that is very simple, but they just grab you. And he was the poet laureate of the United States twice, and he tried leaving college until he retired, and he right here. This is called Velocity. In the club car that morning, I had my notebook open on my lap and my pen uncapped, looking every inch the writer, right down to the little writer's frown on my face. But there was nothing to write about except life and death, and the low warning sound of the train whistle. I did not want to write about the scenery that was flashing past, cows spread over a pasture, hay rolled up meticulously, things you see once and will never see again. But I kept my pen moving by drawing over and over again the face of a motorcyclist in profile, for no reason I can think of. A biker with sunglasses and a weak chin, leaning forward, helmetless, his long, thin hair trailing behind him in the wind. I also drew many lines to indicate speed, to show the air becoming visible as it broke over the biker's face, the way it was breaking over the face of the locomotive that was pulling me toward Omaha and whatever lay beyond Omaha for me and all the other stops to make before the time would arrive to stop for good. We must always look at things from the point of view of eternity, the college theologians used to insist, from which I imagine we would all appear to have speed lines trailing behind us as we rush along the road of the world, as we rush down the long tunnel of time. The biker, of course, drunk on the wind, but also the man reading by a fire, speed lines coming off his shoulders and his book, and the woman standing on a beach studying the curve of horizon. Even the child asleep on a summer night, speed lines flying from the posters of her bed, from the white tips of the pillowcases, and from the edges of her perfectly motionless body. Billy Collins.
So we have a few announcements today. Please join us following service for Sweet Tooth. Sweet Tooth is what we call the conversation, fellowship, and sharing of food that follows Sunday service. If you would like to help with Sweet Tooth, there's a sign-up sheet on the kitchen door, or you can speak to Anita Connington. As you can see, the UUCCN pumpkin patch is in full swing, with much of the work done yesterday at the first pumpkin delivery. Thank you to all the volunteers who assisted. Currently, we have a subsequent delivery scheduled for October 4th and a third delivery scheduled for October 11th. Please join us to help. Our minister, Reverend Petra Toms, will have office hours on Tuesday, October 7th at 1 p.m. All are welcome to join in the conversation. And the UUCCN Book Club is reading By the Fire We Carry, The Generations Long Fight for Justice on Native Lands by Rebecca Nagle, and we'll meet this Thursday, September 25th, to discuss on Zoom. The book for November is Unbuild Walls, Why Immigrant Justice Needs Abolition by Silky Shaw. The book club meeting for November will take place on Thursday, November 20th. Zoom information for both are in the UUCCN weekly update email. And I'll go right into our offering and Thanksgiving. One thing that makes UUCCN special is the volunteering of our members. Helping with Sunday service, religious education, office work, cleanup, Sweet Tooth, and other tasks are a way to give back to this community, to build relationships, and to find purpose. If you would like to help, please speak with me or anyone else on the board. It's time for our offering and Thanksgiving. Thank you for your work in support of UUCCN. Your pledges, donations, and volunteering sustain our congregation as we are 100% dependent upon members, friends, and guests. Please give today when the ushers pass the collection plate or use a credit card on our website, uuccn.org. One of our traditions is to share our Sunday collection plate with another organization whose work aligns with our values and principles. For the month of September, we support the Inn, which since 1983 has helped those challenged by hunger, homelessness, and profound poverty here on Long Island. In this time of great need, the Inn is needed more than ever. Please give generously to help the Inn in its critical mission. Thank you for all you do to support UUCCN. UUCCN is a community of people who strive to be welcoming, caring, hospitable, and loving. We know that the spark of our joys can be amplified when we share them with people who are cheering us on, and the weight of the burden of our sorrows can be lightened when shared with those who have committed to our mutual well-being. Now is the time that you may share a joy or a sorrow that is on your heart this morning. Please raise your hand and I will recognize you.
Anita asked me to share my little story. I'll try to turn around so you can hear me. It's so good to be back. 6 weeks ago, I broke another bone. Now, I was trained never to complain, so just be patient with me for the next 30 seconds. I felt so sorry for myself. I felt like the Greek character Sisyphus pushing the boulder up the hill, only to have it come down again and again and again. Another broken bone, another trip to Winthrop, another trip to a rehab center, another trip to being disabled. But, and I've spent my life being the capable one, the helper, and now I was the helpee. And so grateful for the help from all the people who helped me, all the professional staff who helped me, all the family and friends who helped me. Grateful to Anita and Reverend Victor for calling me up. Grateful for family and friends. Grateful for the ongoing support of family and friends. And so happy to be here and so happy to be welcomed here in this very good place where you shine your light on people. So thank you for letting me share my story.
Anita?
Well, I haven't joined. My grandchildren helped yesterday. I'm just so happy that they offered, didn't have to twist anybody's arm, and they worked really, really, really hard. And I'm glad we had a great turnout, a Delphi turnout, and community turnout, and saw John red-faced in that truck, working hard too. So everyone really worked hard. We had the visitor Joey, Chuck's brother. He was here yesterday, he helped. So it was a good day. It was a hard day, but it was a good day. And of course, Adam, I mean, he does so much.
And your parents. Your
And
Yes,
yes.
yes.
Oh my God.
They all worked really hard.
I had a joyous day yesterday, another great-grandchild.
You're so fertile.
Number one birthday, and they had this Disney theme through the whole party. I never saw anything like it. They had the house, the actual house, and the children went in, of course, they had slides and stuff. And then they had this woman who was marvelous, who is 33 years old. She was amazing. She came, she has 4 children, she self-teaches. She does charity work and she does this on the side as well. But they were making cotton candy. They were making these drinks, the ice drinks with the little, flavors in them. And then popcorn. And then they had painting, they were painting faces. And it was just amazing. I felt like I was going to a special, a carnival for children. It was absolutely beautiful. And a delight to see my little great-granddaughter just walking, and she could just about walk, but she was so cute. So that was a very joyful day. I just wanted to share that with you. Thank you.
My mom is 91, and last year she had a hip and a half replaced. The first one because she had fallen, and the second one voluntarily. And she had about 4 months when she was at a rehab where everything was great. Then all of a sudden she started having these pains. She was saying, I have a pain in my ass. But and so I joined this, sacroiliac, whatever that is, and she had a cortisone shot in that helped like a little. But about 3 weeks ago, she got an epidural shot in her spine, and she is so much better. And this is just, after all that time, to see her be more herself is just a very great thing.
Happy to know.
Mary Ellen?
So today, Shannon, Georgie's granddaughter, is getting married.
Yeah.
She grew up in this congregation. We were kind of surrogate family for her, and we all wish her the very, very best. The other is that I went to an art show that we were involved in, being set up, excuse me, at Hofstra. And there are 2 things notable about it. First of all, the artist is a photographer, Mr. Jamal Shabazz. It is absolutely wonderful. It's in the Emily Lowe Gallery. And please, if you can, see it. It really is called, The Message is Love, and that's what comes out of it. But something notable, on the program, there was a land acknowledgement from Hofstra University. So this is moving, and people are becoming aware of this necessity of making people know that this was not our land to start with. Thank you.
John?
I grew up around here, but I live upstate now, and it's a joy to be back with my friends and enjoy the hospitality of the Coddingtons who are putting me up overnight, and the weather's wonderful, and pumpkin patch is happening, and joy abounds.
I am thankful for sunny, but I have one slight correction, which is that this Thursday we're going to be discussing unbuilt walls, and then the book for November is going to be By the Fire We Carry, which is an excellent book about Native American history in the United States. I would highly recommend that you read it and join us. Next week on Sunday after service, I believe the Halliburts are going to be joining us with another community organization to do another Know Your Rights training. We had one in January with the NYCLU. We're going to be having another one here next week. They're going to be doing some information to invite people from the community. But on that level, a sorrow of mine is that a 42-year-old man from East Meadow who was arrested by ICE and held in Nassau County detention was found dead in his jail cell. We don't know why or what happened. We do know that when ICE arrests people, they do not allow them medical care or access to medication. It is being investigated by the state, but this is something that we've been talking about a lot, about our own county's complicity in these kidnappings and in the negligence that led to the loss of a life. So please keep that man's family in your heart. May we remember those who have spoken, those they have named, and those we hold in silence in our hearts. Michael?
It's easy if you just try. Nothing but the good green earth below us, and above us just a big blue beautiful sky. Now imagine all the people living for today. And now imagine there's no countries. That also is not hard to do. Nothing to kill for, nothing to die for. And you know what? Maybe no party affiliations too. Imagine all the people living life in peace. You might say that these are just the words of a foggy-brained dreamer, but they come from many more than one. Maybe someday they'll join them, and the world could live as one. Now imagine no possessions. Yeah, right? I wonder if you even can. But that That means no need for greed, that means no need for hunger. It means enough for every woman, child, and man. Now imagine all the people sharing all the world. You might say that these are just the words of a dream, but you can't dismiss them 'cause you're not the only one. Maybe someday we can join them and work with as one.
Thank you, Michael. Joe, where are you upstate?
Ithaca.
Okay, I just bought a place near Johnstown, on the water, so I'm happy with that. Little getaway. And Mary Ellen's comment about the land acknowledgements, we're in the political season now where that's going to get stressed more and more. We're not supposed to acknowledge what happened here. And to Lisa, I know what that's like because my mother suffered for years before they had the cortisone shots and the epidurals, and you know, all the way to the end of her life. It was just horrible. Yeah, she was just horrible. So you know, so I was listening. How many of you are Trekkies? It's going to help me a great deal today.
I had to look it up. I'm like, what is that? I knew I was coming today.
I'm glad we looked it up. Well, I mean, I'll tell you, when I get into the sermon, you'll hear why I picked this title. And as often happens, whether I'm preaching here or somewhere else, I overthink things and I overwrite, and so there's going to have to be a part 2, as there was with a couple of other sermons here. So, yeah, I'm not finished on this subject. There's an episode of the once popular series Star Trek: The Next Generation. I'm just going to call it TNG going forward. That's the one with Picard and not William Shatner, I guess Captain Kirk. This is an episode that has become a kind of cult classic for those who are Trekkies, not Trekkies, not a cult classic. In that episode, the Starship Enterprise makes first contact with a species who call themselves the Tamarians, or the children of Tamar. Let me just make sure I can read. They're technologically advanced people who have mastered deep space exploration and have technology equivalent to, or even surpassing, that on the Enterprise. The Tamarians have been encountered before by other ships of the United Federation of Planets, of which Earth is a member, and which the Earth represents. But there's one problem. Each of the past encounters with the Tamarians failed, and failed utterly. There was a failure of communication. While the Enterprise and the Tamarian ship employ a so-called universal translator, just think Google Translate to the 10th or 5th power, whatever, so that specific words and sentences can be translated. A direct word-for-word translation is not sufficient for comprehension, as the Tamarians' communication consists of allegories, similes, and references to cultural myths. Phrases like Dharma and Jalad at Tanagra. These phrases stand in for specific concepts and take the place of whole sentences in English. Indeed, that specific phrase, Dharma and Jalad at Tanagra, is repeated over and over by the captain of the Tamarian vessel, whose name is Dathan. Captain Picard and the Tamarian Captain Dathan are beamed down to a planet together against Picard's will, I should add, where Dathan insists on cooperation by repeating collections of metaphorical phrases. A dangerous beast stalks them both. The captain of the Tamarian ship knew that this beast was on the planet. And though Dathan is gravely wounded by the beast, Picard slowly begins to understand that the Tamarians speak through shared stories. Darmok and Jalad at Tanagra means we, you Picard and me, Dathan, are like Darmok and Jalad, who had to fight a beast together at Tanagra in order to survive. Picard attempts to reciprocate by sharing a human story, the ancient Sumerian story of Gilgamesh and Enkidu from the classic Enuma Elish, creating a narrow bridge of understanding. Although Dathan dies, his sacrifice pays off. Picard and the Tamarians achieve mutual recognition and at least a glimmer of understanding. By the end of the episode, Picard can use the new Tamarian metaphors and similes he has learned in order to communicate, forging the first real or rudimentary dialogue between the two civilizations. This happens just in time as the Enterprise was on the verge of being destroyed by the Tamarian vessel as a response to the Enterprise's attack upon it just before. Picard, now back aboard the Enterprise, hails the second in command of the Tamarian vessel and proceeds with a string of metaphoric and mythopoeic Tamarian references, just gibberish in English, one of which is intended to convey the message that Dathan, their captain, has died, and that there is a new understanding of their language which can be built upon. As I discovered, prompted by my son Alex, who related to the gist of the episode to me a few weeks ago while we were kayaking in the Adirondacks, the episode is widely regarded as one of the next generation's most profound explorations of communication and cultural understanding and misunderstanding. It foregrounds the notion that true communication is more than a translation of words. It requires understanding the cultural framework behind them. For example, E.D. Hirsch, the author of the book Cultural Literacy from 1987, which I read many years ago, relates a story concerning his father, who was a stockbroker and a senior partner in the firm that he worked for. His father would walk into the trading room where all the other brokers were assembled, and he would simply say, "Boys, there is a tide." It had to be boys back then. That one phrase was enough to alert his team that something was happening in the markets that could be profitable to the firm, but that they had to act quickly or else they would miss out. But there is a tide? What on earth does that mean? Some of you probably already know. It comes from Shakespeare's Julius Caesar. There is a tide in the affairs of men, which taken at the flood leads on to fortune. Omitted, all the voyage of their life is bound in shallows and miseries. As with the Tamarians, we too employ cultural and historical and mythopoetic allusions in our communication, all of which require a high level of cultural literacy. Here are some other examples. I omitted one because it was maybe a bit touchy. Remember Sputnik? All you got to do is hear that. You know exactly what that means. Be careful of Greeks bearing gifts. It is time for us to cross the Rubicon. It seems Joe has met his Bathsheba. The TNG episode highlights the power of narrative. Indeed, as one philosopher, the late Daniel Dennett, had put it, we humans are essentially centers of narrative gravity, meaning that our core selves are composed of many overlapping stories. Stories and myths serve as a bridge between people, allowing meaning to transcend literal words, and sometimes more effectively than strings of words, assembled with proper grammar, syntax, and clear definitions. They can also block communication with those who operate from different narratives. One One of the major lessons of the Darmok episode is the cost that is sometimes required to build bridges of communication and thus of understanding. Dathan's death illustrates the breaking down of barriers often requires sacrifice, humility, patience, and risk, even a beast. Genuine connection across differences, whether linguistic, cultural, or ideological, demands empathy, patience, and shared experiences. The TNG writers used the Darmok episode to dramatize the idea that real understanding comes not through technical fixes, the universal translator that sat in the ship's computers, but through shared narratives and human, or in this case, alien, encounters. Now, I was reluctant to use a reference to a popular science fiction program to discuss such a heartbreaking series of events as those unfolding in Palestine. But the Darmok episode, which I had forgotten until Alex, my son, reminded me of it, got me to thinking, and thinking, and thinking, and I'm still thinking. It took the risk of death on Dathan's part. Dathan knew that a vicious beast was on the surface of the planet, though Picard did not. And he knew that repeating Darmok and Jalad at Tanagra in the presence of the threat might eventually get Picard to understand the first breakthrough between the two species. Dathan knew the beast would be coming for them and repeatedly offered to Picard one of the two daggers he carried with him, which Picard misunderstood as an invitation for the two captains to themselves engage in a fight to the death, which was not Dathan's intention at all. But when the beast appeared, Picard accepted Dathan's dagger, and the two men turned to fight the beast together. But it was at that moment that Dathan was struck down and the Enterprise crew was finally able to get a lock on Picard to beam him back aboard. But it immobilized him so that he could not assist Dathan in battling the beast. Once he's freed of the Enterprise's technological interference in this crucial moment, he went to Dathan's side. Picard looked at Dathan, who lay stricken from the wounds inflicted by the beast, and said to Dathan, "Darmok and Jalad at Tanagra." Darmok and Jalad at Tanagra became a reference, as I said earlier, to a battle in Tamarian history or myth, which took place on an island named Tanagra. It meant that two warriors together can vanquish a common foe. If at Tanagra represents the beginning of cooperation through shared struggle, then the next reference spoken by Dathan referred to the voyage of continued understanding. Said Dathan, "Darmok and Jalad at Tanagra, Darmok and Jalad on the ocean." Darmok and Jalad on the ocean. On the ocean conveys the continuation of their relationship after the battle, their joint voyage together after bonding, after building a bridge of communication and understanding. The ocean symbolizes the open, uncertain future to be navigated together. Where Tanagra is the setting of struggle, the ocean is the long journey of friendship and alliance, maybe. All people on earth arise from many cultures. Within those cultures are many myths, many languages, many religions, many histories. We hear a term like multiculturalism and consider it an acknowledgement of that fact, a call to make room for the other and to bridge differences. We have some successes at that, but too often we have failures. As the cultures from which we spring nurture and sustain us, give us points of light in order to navigate our lives in an endless cosmos, those same cultures can be used to forge walls and create divisions. As those divisions turn into yawning chasms, beasts crawl up and out of them. To vanquish those beasts requires a recognition of a common foe, which makes it clear that whatever are the cultural commitments that we have inflated to the point of separating us must now be deflated. Notice that I said deflated, not ended. For the cultural furniture which makes us Greeks or Americans or Cherokees or Amazonians, Muslims or Jews or humanists has value. But there are moments when the value requires the payment of a price that is nothing less than obscene and insane. Such as what we're seeing in Israel, in Gaza, in Russia and Ukraine, and elsewhere. The beast that threatens the world, and has always threatened the world, is gilded particularism, puffed up identities that blind us to the fact that just as there are thousands upon thousands of stories, such as the story of Darmok and Jalad at Tanagra, none of those stories belong to any single person alone. They belong to all of us. Darmok and Jalad at Tanagra is, after its transmission to the Enterprise, no longer simply a Tamarian story. It has now become a human story as well, like the Epic of Gilgamesh. It is also a story that can be transmitted across the galaxy, for its meaning is perhaps universal. Indeed, perhaps the meaning of all stories in all histories is universal. The philosopher Hannah Arendt, herself a Jew, said on more than one occasion, quote, "If one is attacked as a Jew, one must defend oneself as a Jew. Not as a German, not as a world citizen, not as an upholder of the rights of man." I understand the passion in her words, and I have always admired her writing. But it wasn't Jews who died in Hitler's camps, or on October 7th, any more than it is Palestinians who are still dying in Gaza and the West Bank, any more than Ukrainians are dying all across their country. Jews don't die. Palestinians don't die. Ukrainians don't die. People die. And when they die, they take to the grave their enormous possibilities for personal growth and potential to engage in the salvific work of social transformation. To think otherwise forces us to further concretize our identities, to forget that my story and my narrative, my history is not so different from yours, and in fact it overlaps and intertwines with yours, just as Christianity overlaps and intertwines with the history of Israel, and Islam overlaps and intertwines with the history of both, and all overlap and intertwine with the history of tribal desert religions replete with tribal and desert gods. It was not 1,200 Jews' futures who were extinguished on October 7th. The futures of 1,200 people were. It wasn't millions of Africans who were transported across the Atlantic as if inanimate cargo. It was millions of people. Parents were not showing up to the lobbies of the few remaining hospitals in Gaza carrying pieces of little Palestinians in plastic bags. They were carrying pieces of their children in those plastic bags. Human eyes, human heads, little severed feet, and little severed human hands. The children in those plastic bags are not the children of Palestine. They are our children of infinite value, sacrificed to that which is, by comparison, a mere heap of temporary cultural accretions, however many thousands of years old they are. They were sacrificed to idols. Time and again, We let our inflated and robust identities become idols to be defended. And then those idols become beasts. And then the beasts rear their heads and turn on us, people. In Gaza, as elsewhere around the world, it is as it has always been. People dying in the service of idols, whether the idol is Jerusalem or Mother Russia or the Kaaba. It's hundreds of deaths daily all across the planet. And it appears to be getting worse. It appears that there is no ceiling on the number of people that the current Israeli regime will kill, just as there is no limit on the number of Ukrainians Mr. Putin will kill for the glory of Mother Russia. And all of this killing will almost surely lead to future cycles of killing as the opportunity presents itself for retribution. We've learned our lessons about identity, about multiculturalism, about tolerance, about recognizing the other on their own particularized terms. I've been hearing this song since the early 1980s, and it's a good song. But it is time that we bring back to the fore a point of view that has been mocked as unrealistic universalism. One of the things that we're named after. The fact that the other, all others, are us. Or it will be another phrase from the Star Trek episode that will come to resonate as the world perfects its nuclear, chemical, and biological weapons, along with its diverse divisive technologies, and as the nations turn inward in their so-called specialness, exceptionalism, superiority, and chosenness. Shaka, when the walls fell, was a phrase used by the Tamarians to express the concept of failure. That's what they would say to each other. Something didn't work, shaka, when the walls fell. If we keep inflating and emphasizing the differences between us, the walls will indeed fall. The walls that hold up civilization itself, and we're toying with that in this country as well. The beast is almost at the door. It's time to consider the words of the Apostle Paul, who taught us that there is neither Jew nor Greek, neither slave nor free, neither circumcised nor uncircumcised in the eyes of God. And I would add, neither Israeli nor Palestinian. We need a new and muscular universalism. No more fractured particularisms which we turn into idols. I will close for now with this story by Palestinian journalist Yuma El-Sayed, as she recounted it to PBS journalist Harvey Srinivasan a few months ago. This is tough to hear. Yes, unfortunately, this is one of the stories that I wasn't brave enough to document because I wasn't able to be a journalist at that moment in time. She was a journalist, but she couldn't function as one because of her emotions. Because the atrociousness of the scene that I saw as a human being and as a mother was unbearable. I was at Al-Nasser, at Nasser Hospital Medical Complex in Khan Yunis, and the strike by the IDF on a residential community took place. We ran to the entrance of the hospital, everyone, all the journalists, as we watched the ambulances rush into the entrance, and doctors and paramedics come out quickly to take the casualties inside. And in one of those ambulances, there was a boy, not more than 12 years old. And he steps out of that ambulance carrying a blue backpack on his chest here. He seems like he's been pulled out of the rubble from the attack with all the bruises and dust on his face and hair. But that blue backpack on his chest was very strange to me. And as he comes to me, steps down from the ambulance very quietly, and he asks me, "Do you know what's in my backpack?" Before I can answer, I see blood under the backpack, just like that, stains of blood, and I just know inside what I'm expecting to see. I know what he's trying to tell me. I know what he's carrying. But maybe I didn't expect it to be that bad, that he would tell me that it was his little brother, Ahmed, and he's 5 years old. And I didn't have the courage to film that, to document that, because I felt that this is a situation that regardless of being a reporter, regardless of being a war reporter, of seeing injuries and killed people and seeing people stuck under the rubble while they try to break them out, there are situations that your heart can't take as a human being. And this was one of those situations. And I felt for quite some time guilty that I was not brave enough to document it. And I let him down because I did not react quickly and document that. I blamed myself for days. It was 10 months ago and I can't get over it. And I will never get over it. Nor the day I saw on the TV screen a father carrying 2 plastic bags with his boy and girl in both his hands and screaming and saying, "These are my children." Look at my children and their pieces. I thought to myself, there was a more courageous journalist than me that was able to capture that. No leader, no politician, no one in the world can bear this scene of children cut into pieces, blown up into pieces like that. But nothing has changed. Nothing has happened. When I saw that on TV, I stopped blaming myself for not being courageous enough to document it. I actually thanked myself that I still had some humanity in me, that I wasn't able to document such a vicious crime.
I'm going to sing 94. So you're invited to stand if you prefer. And I'll play through it once while you find it. What is this life if full of care? We have no time to stand and stare, no time to stand beneath the boughs and stare as long as sheep and cows. No time to see when words we pass, where squirrels hide and nuts and grass. No time to see in broad daylight, streams full of stars like stars at night. No time to turn and beauty's gaze and watch her feet how they can dance. And like this, if full of care, we have no time to stand and stare.
And now in our going, may the light of God shine upon us and out from within us. and be gracious unto us, and grant us peace. For this is the day that we're given. Let us go forth and be glad in it. Amen.
May I ask, how can we help them?
Oh,
I want to help them.
yes, so we all do. There is something we're doing in the congregation with Gaza. I think it's in the order of service. Birds of Gaza. Well, that's religious education. So we'll talk later. And you can talk to Liz as well.
I can't be singing louder than the lies when I'm gone. I can't be singing louder than the lies when I'm gone. I can't be singing louder than the lies when I'm
I have to do. Thank you, David. Thank you. This is a traditional song that has to start for our pumpkin patch, okay? And it goes like this. I learned it on PS 35 back in Hollis, Queens.
Right here.
There's Joey Shug went, and Anita went also, right? PS 35. Oh, a long pumpkin grew on a green pumpkin vine. He was round, he was fat, he was yellow. No silly jack-o'-lantern shall I be, said he. I'm determined to be a useful fellow. So he raised up his head when the goat came around, and they chose him at once as the winner. His fondest wish went through, and he got pumpkin pie for his the glory of the great Thanksgiving dinner. For the glory of the jack is in the candle, as it sits upon the gatepost up so high. And the glory of the turkey is the drumstick, but the glory of the pumpkin is the pie. That's the pumpkin celebration. You can put that on the loop. But this pulpit was donated by David to our congregation a number of years ago. And I always look at it, and it always reminds me of you and your parents. Thanks, Mike.
Thank you.
Join us for sweet tea. Thank you.
For that service. I'll read those.